Welcome to the Nazareth College Centennial Podcast. I'm your host, Timothy Nealand, and in each episode I'll be guiding you through stories of amazing alumni, fascinating faculty, or the hidden history of the college. Today's episode, Sister Kelsey Weider and the origins of service learning at Nazareth College.
Our founder said, go out and quarter the city and determine what the needs are.
That was Sister Kelsey Weider, who spoke with Kelsey Jones in January of 2020.
My name is Sister Kelsey Weider. I was at Nazareth from 1983 until the year 2000. I absolutely loved my years at Nazareth College. I had wonderful people in the campus ministry department over the years, and I remember one colleague in particular would be planning something and we'd say, and they pay us to do this. It was just so exciting, and working with college students, empowering them to experience that what they do makes a difference was wonderful.
What have some of your roles been?
I actually began at Nazareth with teaching some courses, evening courses in a continuing ed program. And then I was hired in 1983 for a semester to teach in the religious studies department because one of the faculty members was on sabbatical. And so I had just finished my degree in scripture and theology, and so Nazareth asked if I would come and teach those courses. While I was there, an opening came in campus ministry. It was also a part-time. I became part of the staff of campus ministry, as it was called then, and then eventually I became the director of campus ministry.
So let's switch gears into the Service Learning Center. We talked a little bit about before the interview, but why do you think it's named after you?
We'll start by saying I don't feel like I deserve that honor. I think it was named after me because I played a key role by virtue of my position, developing service learning at Nazareth. There was an organization, and to my knowledge, it still continues today, but it was a group called Campus Compact.
Mm-hmm.
It was early on in the history of Campus Compact in the very early 1990s. And the group was committed to incorporating service to the larger community as part of the learning experience. It may seem strange that campus ministry took the lead on service learning since it's not an academic department. However, traditionally at Nazareth, service and service opportunities were primarily planned and offered through the Office of Campus Ministry. So service being integral to Christian faith. We had Campus Compact Committee. There were representatives of faculty from a number of different departments who served on Campus Compact. I chaired that committee, but they did a great deal of the work. We had a program, I started the Partners for Learning program,
Mm-hmm.
and sending students into area schools to do service, and that program grew. Now, as part of putting together that program, we desperately needed transportation. Now, it turned out that the grants in this area, we got a major grant, but they didn't include transportation. And what we were needing was to buy vans. But the grant was substantial and helped us found and establish the Partners for Learning program. As part of that, Nazareth invested in that point a couple of vans to get the students back and forth to the schools. And with the service learning, there was always the component of reflection on that service. So I was starting that at the same time in the early 90s that Campus Compact was really getting momentum, and the effort was definitely more towards service learning and incorporating service into the academic curriculum.
Absolutely.
And so that was new, but it was perfect that our committee had people from a variety of departments on it. There was Deb First, who was a professor of education, and we had someone from the drama department, Lindsay Korth. Al Cabral was the director of internship, and there were others. It was quite interdisciplinary. One of the things that we did, and this is with the two grants, are with the help of the development office and designated grant writer. I would talk the ideas with her. She put together the grants. We got the large one to start the Partners for Learning program. But one critical thing was that we put together a grant. Applying for was a week long. We had a group of 5 of us who went to Stanford for a 5-day workshop. It was geared toward how to incorporate service into the academic curriculum and include the critical part of the reflection, the learning that the Nazareth student who was, what were they learning in the process? And so a real shift in thinking from being a volunteer, I'm going to go in and help people, to realizing the critical value of the experience for the students and the way in which they were changed and learned from those experiences. And we actually, in the course of the week, it wasn't so much lectures as it was that we were to create some opportunities and really develop it. And it was at that conference, I believe, that we first began, and in the years that followed, that we first began to get the idea of the importance of institutionalizing service learning. There was a lot of service that went on at Nazareth in many ways, from the founding of the college by the first 5 sisters. And so there was a lot of volunteering and service that went on. And a lot of the departments incorporated service learning. It was primarily in those that you would expect: education, so students went out into classrooms, and social work, and some of the obvious ones. Well, we didn't have OT and PT initially, but and sociology. So there were a number of different ways in which people were incorporated. And then, of course, there were the internships and other experiences. So after we came back from Stanford, we got grants through Campus Compact, and we began to have workshops for the Nazareth College faculty on service learning, a real effort to incorporate it across the board, realizing that every single discipline could benefit from the experience of going out, the students' learning experience. And I can't emphasize that enough. It was not a matter of going out and doing good. It was definitely seen from our perspective as this is a great value for the students. They will learn so much from the people that they serve. And we knew from the evaluations that we were doing that that was true, that the students came away so enriched. So so we started doing faculty workshops, and then we for a few years we got grants through Campus Compact and were able to offer some incentives, let's say, to faculty. So if they came to a workshop on service learning, there was a small stipend for attending. There was also not a large sum of money, but there was money that we received through grants that that paid faculty to take the time to incorporate service into their courses and incorporate the full gamut of what was involved in service learning and the reflection components. That helped grow the service learning. So I was just on the ground floor, if you want, when it was just beginning to happen, even nationwide, with Campus Compact being formed, the beginning of the morning. I think that those two key pieces, the Partners for Learning program grew and grew, and thanks to the people on the committee, there was very development that happened at Nazareth so that more and more disciplines, departments, academic departments, were beginning to incorporate service. Lindsay Korth, who was on the committee, she taught theater, and she already had students doing performances out in schools of children's stories. And we really worked to spread that. And then the people who came after me, I was unfortunately, I had to retire in the year 2000 when things were moving strongly, but I had to retire due to my MS. And so I feel like I just laid this piece of groundwork, and the people who came after have taken it far beyond my wildest dreams. They are the ones that really deserve that credit. We've gone to different programs at Nazareth with all of the different opportunities now so that students are doing service all over the world. They have access to a small amount of money in order to help that happen. And the variety and the scope, the much broader international scope that has come into this came after my time. And I am just thrilled. I'm absolutely thrilled. I thank Jamie Fazio, who became my...
I love him.
yeah, Jamie's very special and worked so hard. And Jamie was actually a student at Nazareth when I was teaching there.
Awesome.
And so Jamie coming into my position within, he came into campus ministry as Catholic chaplain, and then more recently became director of campus ministry. Jamie is the one who followed through on the service learning. And by that time, there were already positioned, by the time I left, there were already positions in place. Marie Watkins was very much involved on the academic side, and she had, I believe, taught at another university where service learning was being incorporated, so she was a huge help. There were people in place that had the vision and understood it, positioned for civic engagement.
Nola Boyle
Yes,
is the director
Nola,
of
yes,
civic engagement.
Yes, so Nola and I have met a number of times. So Nola has been another critical person that expanded it. All of the people whose vision was so much greater than mine have just built on that. There are requirements that students are exposed to service learning. That is monumental because it's here to stay and obviously has grown in the last 30 years beyond anything we could have envisioned. For the 75th anniversary of Nazareth College, we did a service program, and I think the whole day was no classes, but everyone, students, faculty, staff, went out into the community to do service, and I coordinated for all of them, and having everyone leave in a coordinated way was, I remember distinctly the students were laughing at me because I leave messages for them at 2 o'clock in the morning as I was working the last couple nights, and service event, and but it was so exciting to be part of that and to celebrate 75 years of the college in a way that took the whole college community out into service to the broader community was just thrilling. You know, the Sisters of St. Joseph founded Nazareth, and we owned and operated it for many decades before we basically turned it over to the college. Wanted the mission to continue, and we realized that with broader leadership, the college could and would expand. So the Sisters of St. Joseph, for $1, set Nazareth College up to separately incorporate. It's thrilling for me as a Sister of St. Joseph to see how the core values of our congregation played a role in establishing values that eventually led to this. Value of service was always important. Our mission as Sisters of St. Joseph, and what we refer to as our charism, our spirit, our founder said, go out and quarter the city and determine what the needs are. If you can't meet them yourself, find someone who can. And so that's been our role as Sisters of St. Joseph from 1650, when we were founded in France, to we were one of the first apostolic congregations, not cloistered. We went out in service. In fact, that's how the old black habit came into being, is that when we were founded in 1650 in France, the only way a woman was allowed on the street alone was if she was a widow and dressed in black. Otherwise, women were not allowed on the streets without being accompanied by a man. And so we dressed in black and a veil so that we would look like the widows. and we went out in service. And that idea of quartering the city and discovering the unmet needs, that's something the Sisters of St. Joseph continue to do. There have been multiple ministries founded by the Sisters of St. Joseph in Rochester, originally St. Joseph's Villa. The Hope Hall is a school for children with special learning needs. And St. Joseph's Neighborhood Center, I won't go into all the details, but that's part of our DNA, if you will. So it's wonderful that looking at what are the needs, what can I do, what can we do, the advocacy work, which is a critical component, I believe, in service learning, is not just the initial direct service, but also that it helps lead to advocacy that will change the system so that we do not have the discrepancies that are rampant in our society and around the world, where the rich get richer and the poor get poorer and more numerous. And so it's about not only giving a helping hand, but it's about, through the experiences of service learning, it's about realizing why people are in the situation and how is the system broke. What are the ways that we can have an impact through advocacy work, through the kinds of careers that our alums choose to address that broader level on a deeper level so that we can work toward eradicating causes.
Service and learning have always been part of the Nazareth College experience. The integration of the two in the 1990s through service learning is one of the many ways that Nazareth continues to evolve and develop high-impact student experiences, such as project-based learning, experiential learning, and, of course, international and globalization. Nazareth will continue to evolve and grow in our next 100 years. Our thanks to Kelsey Jones for conducting the interview, for Kathy Weider for being our guest, to the Free Music Archive for supplying us with music from Severin, Ambient One, and of course our thanks to you, the listener. If you like what you hear, let us know. You can email us at publichistory@naz.edu or call us at 585-389-2649.